Hey guys, Juan Solo here and welcome to the channel. This is going to be a new series of in-depth tips and tricks videos for playing each hero in Battlefront 2, mainly carried around the Heroes vs Villains game mode. Purpose of this series is to not only go into detail with basic stats for each hero for new players. I know especially with the recent resurgence of Battlefront 2, we got a lot of new players coming in, but this is also to provide some maybe not so well-known tips and tricks that even veteran players may not know. Today we're going to be starting off with none other than our favorite farm boy from Tatooine, Luke Skywalker. Luke has a good HP pool of 750, which is pretty standard for a lot of the lightsaber heroes in the game. His damage per lightsaber swing is 130 in the front and 160 from behind, but what makes Luke instantly stand out is the potential of his damage output, boasting a whopping 2.4 swings per second, which is by far the fastest in game. This allows him to absolutely just shred unexpected players who aren't paying attention, especially paired with specific star cards, which makes him an easy pick for new players. Going from that, we go into Luke's three abilities. First up, we got Push. Luke Skywalker uses the Force to push enemies in front of him, knocking them over ledges and into danger. This ability does 90 damage, has a range of 12 meters, doing 10 meters of pushback with an ability cooldown of 20 seconds. Carrying over from Battlefront 2015, Push is actually a great option to not only push enemies off the ledge, but also to apply pressure and damage to heroes after they've been knocked down or stunned. Some notable key things to note about this ability is that Push can be used in the air, primarily immediately after pressing the jump button or at the apex height of the jump. This ability can also be aimed up or down in the air, providing extra options for damage or to close in on opponents. Next up is Repulse. Luke Skywalker sends a burst of force energy out from the ground, dealing damage to any enemies nearby. This ability does 75 damage with 12 meters of range as an AoE attack with cooldown of 17 seconds. The benefits this ability provides are opening and knockdowns and approaching opponents for a free 1 to 2 swings at close range. Also helps with grounding airborne opponents to close the gap against characters such as Boba. Things to note with Repulse would be that it can be used immediately after a short hop push for even further push distance. Honestly, this is probably by far my favorite combo. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it is really fun to see enemies get completely launched, arguably farther than Darth Maul's throw, which is obviously one of the best in the game. Secondly, paired with the Epicenter star card, this can be great for providing chip damage to delay enemy health regen and opens an aggressive playstyle to help complement it. Lastly, we have Rush. Luke Skywalker uses the Force to enhance his speed and quickly move in any direction while swinging his lightsaber. This ability does 100 damage per swing with a base of 2 rush attacks in your base kit, and a great 5-second cooldown per charge. Very good for closing distance and additional damage in lightsaber fights and against shooter heroes. Paired with the right star cards, can be used as a form of additional damage resistance to survive even the most powerful of attacks in a pinch. Some key things to note is that Rush can be used immediately after connecting a lightsaber swing for some easy, quick damage. Rush can also break Kylo's frenzy at times, stopping in its tracks. Extremely useful in duels. Lastly, if you press the jump button at any point in the animation, you will immediately perform a jump at the end of the rush, which is a very easy option for looking for hook swings and keeping that aggressive playstyle. Now we move on to the star cards. I'll be referencing these star cards based off of their epic tier level, but we'll provide the chart that you can see in game of the other numbers and percentages just in case. Starting off with our level 2 star cards, beginning with Epicenter. This star card will deal bonus damage to the enemies when using Repulse within its radius. Pretty self-explanatory, but when you perform the ability, you'll see the second circle where Epicenter's bonus damage would take effect. There's actually a bug that will auto-apply that extra 40 damage no matter what, even through blocks. And doing a little bit of testing, this could actually go through walls and obstacles if you're close enough, which is actually pretty crazy. Super good to keep enemies' health regen delayed, and overall just a good tool to apply pressure. Our second star card is going to be Deflection Mastery, which says that block blaster shots are deflected super accurately but drain more stamina by 10%. This shrinks the spread of blaster shots after being deflected, which can be a little useful when it comes to blocking stubborn shooter heroes like Phasma or Iden, who like to spray and pray, but overall, I'm going to be honest, it's not really my personal choice of star card, mainly due to wanting to play Luke with an aggressive playstyle. That being said, you can pair it with star cards like Jedi Fighter. You can kind of try a niche playstyle that gives you extra stamina while deflecting blaster shots. Again, mainly useful against the enemy shooters that like to spray and pray. But overall, something you could try out, but not really one of the cards for me. Next, we move on to our 2 star cards unlocked at level 10, starting with Luke's best star card, absolutely no questions asked, Intensify, which states every trooper defeated or 200 damage to heroes increases Luke's lightsaber damage by 2 to a maximum. This effect resets after Luke is defeated. This caps out to 36 extra damage at the highest card level, meaning Luke will do 166 damage from the front and a whopping 196 damage from the back, which is amazing. Absolute cinema of a star card. Thing to note with this star card is that if you push or repulse an enemy off the map, it will instantly max out the damage, providing that boost, of course, until you die, which is utterly insane. After that is Stronger Push, which states that, well, push has greater knockback. Super easy to understand. At its highest level, it does have a 100% increase, doubling the distance pushed. Super good for maps that ledging people is easy on, such as Kashyyyk, Bespin, or the First Order class Star Destroyer. Overall, a really good start card for just doing what it does, pushing people farther. Next up is going to be our 2 star cards unlocked at level 15, starting off with Rush Immunity. This states that every rush makes Luke Skywalker more resistant to damage for 3 seconds. Overall, good start card for gaining damage resistance when fighting shooter heroes, but also to make it that much harder for you to die against lightsaber heroes. After that, we have Jedi Reflexes, which states that Luke Skywalker can do 1 extra rush, but the recharge time is slightly increased. At the highest level, it will be 10%, which just adds an additional 0.5 seconds. And honestly, having 3 rushes can absolutely benefit you with damage output and keeping that aggressive playstyle against shooter heroes and chip damage against lightsaber heroes when used correctly. Next, we have our only level 20 star card, going to be Jedi Fighter. Luke Skywalker's melee strikes and blaster deflections both drain less stamina. Overall, good star card to add more stamina to an already great stamina pool of a hero that regains their stamina insanely quickly. Quick thing to note about this is that despite it stating it reduces stamina costs for both attacking and deflecting blasters, this card also affects blocking sabers or melee attacks. So it actually affects all stamina costs on Luke. By default, Luke can do 10 swings up until he runs out of stamina normally, but with this star card equipped, he can do up to 16, which obviously is a bug in the card. But what card doesn't have a bug that's already in this game? Next up, we have Extended Push Reach, which states that, well, push has an increased area of effect with 30% at its max tier. Honestly, another star card to help with catching people off guard and pushing those people off the map. Not really a well-run star card, in my opinion, unless you're playing on maps like Kashyyyk or Bespin, which ledging is pretty prominent on. But just not really something I see a lot. But again, super good for catching those people off guard and helping with pushing people off map. Lastly, we have Strong Repulse, which states that Repulse has an increased area of effect. At the highest tier, that area of effect is a 30% increase. I do absolutely think this is an underrated star card. Nothing super special about it per se, but this can catch people off guard with that extra range, and especially good for playing against Boba players that aren't expecting it. Lastly, I want to present some builds on Luke that you can try out to whatever fits your playstyle, or if you're just wanting to try something new. These builds will help diversify your playstyle, especially if you are a new player wanting to know what star cards to use for any build that you decide to play with, or experimenting with new cards that you might not normally use. First is going to be the aggressive build, consisting of Epicenter, Intensify, and Jedi Reflexes. Intensify, obviously, is for more damage output, especially in HvV, where you do get rewarded for staying alive longer and being able to output more damage onto the opponents, which Intensify obviously helps with that. Epicenter is to provide constant pressure in delaying enemy health regens. Again, with this going through blocks, it makes it an essential tool with just constantly putting damage. I mean, if you can delay the health regen of enemies, you know, for a long time. It's going to make it a lot harder for them to survive, especially with tanky villains like Vader. So definitely helps with that. Lastly, it would be Jedi reflexes, and again, that's mainly just for that extra rush, which does 100 damage per rush attack. So having that extra rush just builds on the extra damage, and being able to get in and out of bad situations quickly, especially if you're facing pesky shooters like Iden, who are really good up close, but with Luke and your fast health regen, you can get in and out without taking too much damage. Super great build if you are good at staying alive and capitalizing on that super high damage output of Intensify. This next build is what I'm going to deem the Legend King build. Super great for being a threat long range and pushing people off the map. This build does consist of Stronger Push, Extended Push, and Strong Repulse. Stronger Push obviously doubles the knockback of Push, making it super good for maps like Bespin and Kashyyyk that have very little space to run around without that constant threat of being pushed. Extended Push obviously extends the range of Push, which can catch people off guard, especially when they're not expecting it. And then of course Strong Repulse extends that repulse radius, which is still an underrated star card in my opinion. Strong Repulse I don't ever really see it get used in HvV, and this can actually catch a lot of shooters off guard, especially to set them up for that easy push off the ledge. I think personally Legend is a super fun playstyle, and it might not be looked in the same light, but honestly I don't give a shit. Like, it's at the end of the day it's fun, and isn't that what's important in the end? It's just to have fun. But anyway, well, that's gonna be for Luke. Leave any other tips I might have left out or any questions you want answered in the comments below. Let me know what your favorite build to run on Luke is, and let me know which hero I should do next. I am planning on doing Darth Vader next, but I will go off the comments for the next hero after that. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe. I want to make more in-depth guides for you guys for every hero in Battlefront 2, and eventually go in-depth with other heroes versus villains type content in the future. Anyways guys, this was Juan Solo, and signing out, and catch you later.